Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Or we got you.
Yeah.
Oh, when I backed my truck in, I might have hit your car. Just a little bit. Blue one, right?
Good thing there's cameras up there.
The blue one, right?
Yeah,
I
maybe your insurance company.
Mine's blue too, I hope you didn't hit mine instead.
Okay, 6:30, let's bring the meeting to order.
No.
No. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanna, can patients see that Josh Compo's online?
Hey, patience, can you see that Josh Campos here?
Yes, I can see who's online.
Sure.
Okay, we also have Joseph Boublat, Wayne Johnson, and Pat Johnson. Darlene Johnson, I'm sorry.
Got it.
Okay. Agenda review. Anybody need to add anything or delete anything or move anything around on the agenda?
I do.
Okay,
At the last meeting, I made a mistake when I made the motion to appoint Marina Garland to the Memorial Grove Committee representing the Conservation Commission. I said it was for a 1-year term. And the policy says it's supposed to be 3 years.
there's supposed to be 2 or 3s.
Well, we're supposed to stagger a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done that for the first 2 appointments.
That was on my question. Right?
Marina's needs to be redone, so she's gonna do the 2 or 3.
Okay.
You wanna stagger them, but that motion needs to be corrected. I don't know where on the agenda you want to do that.
Other business. Any other business?
Or under the appointments, if you want to. Memorial Grove, because we have 2
Well,
other.
but it's not, but we already did his appointment, so it's an amendment to a motion. Or previous.
Just a spot on the agenda, that's all.
Yeah. Either way, don't worry, dude.
Anything else? Comments from select board member for anything that's not on the agenda?
I have nothing.
I would like to ask the board if they would take a moment of silence for Tina Woods, who passed away a couple weeks ago. We could just take a moment. Thank you. Okay, town manager, anything that's not on the agenda? Yeah. Citizen, anything that's not on the agenda from you guys?
You're not gonna make that.
Review the minutes from the there's Nathan. Review the minutes from the previous meeting, January 12th, 26. Motion to approve the minutes from that meeting. So move. Okay. Any questions, any changes?
I like them.
I like them too. Okay, all in favor of the minutes for January 12th, 2026, signify by saying aye.
From this point on, we have to do roll call, because it's online.
Okay. Okay,
Not that somebody's not gonna roll.
Gotcha. roll call to approve the minutes from January 12th. Nathan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Forrest,
Aye.
Rika. Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Approve the minutes from the January 13th meeting. So move.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Excuse me. I'm sorry, the word sheriff is spelled wrong.
Where is that?
Under the minutes of 12. Are you doing 1222?
Just did that one.
We already did it.
We're on 115.
We're on January 13th. Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes from January 13th, Nathan,
Aye.
I,
DeForest,
Aye.
Rita. Aye, motion carries. Town manager update.
I just have one quick thing tonight, our offer on the rescue truck has been accepted. And Chief Compo and Highway Superintendent Ray Stapleton are heading to Cherry Grove on Thursday to inspect the truck. And as long as the inspection goes well, they're gonna drive the truck back here to our station. So I've given you all the backup there. That's the original offer. Attachment A, attachment B is their acceptance of the offer, and the attachment C is the truck itself and the specifications. That's all I have.
That's all you had?
Yep. I mean, I could,
Don't encourage.
Usually he's long-winded, but I was just surprised.
I could take up to 20 minutes if you'd like.
No, that's fine. We'll take your word for it.
put those plugs back in.
The select board annual report should be on your guys' screen there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brandon wanted you guys to put your 2 cents worth in on it before we send it to the print.
On the 4th paragraph, you can delete the with at the beginning of the sentence and capitalize the T.
Say that again.
It says, with the departure of our police chief and full-time police officer in April, left us with a decision. So if we just eliminate the with at the beginning of the sentence,
Oh, okay,
capitalize the T. it'll-
gotcha. Yep.
And sheriff probably should be singular in that same paragraph.
Should be singular.
Yeah, there's only one Windsor sheriff.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be the Windsor County Sheriff?
Yeah, but still, how many county sheriffs are there? It's still only one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it should
Windsor
say
County
Windsor,
Sheriff.
but it's a, yeah, but it'd say Windsor County.
Yeah, I think it needs to say Windsor County. I didn't catch that,
Anybody like to add anything to it?
Do we want to say how we just, for repeat value, how much money, how much ARPA money we had? In the paragraph where it says damages from flooding and so forth have been remediated?
there is no more ARPA funds.
Right, I was just thinking in terms of, let's say, parentheses, so and so much, just to remind. Because we haven't talked about ARPA money for a long time, it's not essential by any means.
I think I did put this in, sorry, that's.
Or you want it to have what we started with?
Well, I just,
That we
as
used
a,
to.
as a tidbit of information, yeah,
Okay.
but it's not critical.
I tried to keep it shorter. 'Cause
Of course.
Mike spoke for it all in last year's town report, so. I just want people to know that it had been all, we had finally used it all.
Mhm.
I have one comment.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to add the transfer station to the first paragraph?
Did I leave them out? Yes, I did. Yeah, we can add them. Can you do that or do I have to do that?
Yeah, I'll do it.
And can you change the width to other?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll replace the sheriff's.
Okay.
And the Monday at the last sentence doesn't need to be possessive, just take the apostrophe out.
Oh, okay.
Second and fourth Mondays.
Doesn't need to be much.
Mondays own us.
I think it was intentional.
I challenge anybody to go with me on Mondays. I pray for 5 Mondays in a month.
Yes.
Why, you get one off?
Yes.
That's the only time I get a Monday off.
Okay. Is that it?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, Memorial Grove Committee Policy Review. We I think this is where we added. An organization from the Veterans Memorial Committee, so Brandon fixed the correction.
Reduce the number of members from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, to reduce that one to one, so each one has one.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure that we, when we get that far, who serves 3 and who serves 2 years?
Cause we just.
We didn't do that to any of them, did we?
No, we didn't.
Have we adopted this policy yet?
Yes.
Yeah,
So we need a motion to amend it then, right?
no,
No?
No, we already
We already
did that
did.
last time. Brandon was just giving it to us so we could re-sign
I
it.
did
Oh,
copies of it.
okay.
But what we didn't do is the committee members will serve for 3 years, and I made the motion to appoint Marina for 1, so that was a mistake. And then it said to stagger rotation, the board shall appoint 3-year members and 3 3-year members and 2 2-year members, and we haven't done that either, so. Either keep everybody that you've already appointed as a 3-year, and then the last 2 that are asking to be appointed tonight, make them 2 years. I don't know what the motion
That's
for.
not simple.
It does to me too.
That way you don't
Yeah.
have to change it.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay,
Okay,
so is this a good time to revisit?
might as well while we're there.
So I make a motion to amend. The motion made at the previous meeting to appoint Marina Garland as the Conservation Commission member. For her term to be 3 years, not 1.
Second?
All those in favor? No, Nathan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Forrest,
Aye.
Rika, aye. Okay, that one carries for a 3-year term.
So we've ironed that out,
Okay,
and now we can sign it.
okay.
We have a copy of this one.
Okay, next on the agenda, Town of Weathersfield fireworks policy.
I really like this. My question is always definitions.
Yep.
There's no definition section. And what jumps to me are the words consumer fireworks, which is key term in this whole policy. I did go to the statute and it's a paragraph about 3 miles long, but it never actually uses the word consumer fireworks.
Okay,
So I'm not sure where that is officially defined, whether we summarize something from the statutes and put it in here, but I really like whatever terms we're using that are loaded, quote unquote.
Yep.
Should be defined, in my opinion, in the policy itself, so people don't have to question or go looking in statutes for it.
so you want me to take a stab at defining consumer fireworks?
Right, based on what's in this, it's references as defined in 20 VSA 3131.
Yep,
So taking a stab at it will be a tall order, but that would be great if you could do that.
okay. And then do we want to add a definitions section or just,
Yes.
okay,
Because also it says fireworks classified as 1.3 G. Now, I assume that's something labeled on a firework when it's sold, but I don't know what that means, so.
If I had to guess, I would say it's 1.3 grams.
Yeah,
I
would say
what is-
close,
yeah.
close.
That makes sense, but I don't know that.
it's a explosives category.
It's just a category.
Federal ATF explosives category.
So maybe we can explain that in.
okay.
in-
I had a question on the first part.
Go ahead.
The consumer fireworks one. What is, John's here, so, yeah, and so is obvious. We got a couple guys here that might know lots of stuff. In the state of Vermont, what type of fireworks are sold to what we would call a consumer like me? I'm not a licensed fireworks tech of any kind.
For the general public.
Exactly, the general public. So is there a category that's sold like in stores in Vermont to the general public?
1.4,
So that would be what's considered consumer fireworks.
correct.
And anything above that, you gotta have a license, right? Of some sort.
And it has to do with the grams of black powder.
Well, it says personal and
When
private.
you
use
reach a
of
certain level, they become 1.3.
This reference is 1.3. Are illegal to sell, possess, or use in Vermont. That's what this says.
You,
He just said 1.4.
yeah, so there's just a question on what, which is which there, I got. But that qualifies, that, there's your definition, is a consumer, if we're dealing with consumer fireworks are fireworks that are, according to the law, can be sold to anybody in the state of Vermont. That's consumer
Well,
fireworks.
you have to look at the
Correct.
DSA 20. Only DSA 3130, and paragraph that was long. It lists all kinds.
Do you want all of that in your definition though?
No, I wanted.
I'm trying to simplify it, and if you can buy, if I can walk to the store and buy it, that's consumer fireworks.
That makes sense, but as long as that conforms to the state definition.
Yes, yeah, right.
The only other thing I had was on page 2, section 7. B1, to the minimum limit of $1 million per occurrence, I assume that means $1 million.
Yes,
So the dollar sign is just,
okay, I'll add that in there.
other than that, I was really happy with it. Seemed to cover everything that we talked about in our discussions here.
Yep.
When we had the fireworks applications last.
But that's,
year.
all that information was taken into account when
Yeah.
I drafted
I
this.
recognized it.
So, Thank you.
Well, with that, do we need the definition section or just in the area where it says consumer firework? Is there a way to quickly just call that out right there?
Leave
Leave
it
it,
back to Brandon to stick that out. If
Okay.
it doesn't warrant a whole section for definitions, then don't do it. Define
Okay.
it in the section itself, if that works.
I'm
I
gonna
didn't
go
see other terms that needed it.
Yeah.
That was the one that really stuck out to me.
Okay, I'm gonna go through it one more time and just see if there might be something that would, somebody else would wonder what it is. And if there's only 2 or 3 things, then I'll put them in the actual sections instead of making a whole
So
section.
Keep it simple.
it's when we need to make a motion for, is this the first?
Hold
reading?
on a second. Darlene, would you like to stand up to the podium? Our person who's taking the minutes is online today, so.
Okay, Darlene Johnson, just bear with me. Is there a fireworks committee? Like, do I need to fill out a permit if I want to show fireworks and have it signed off on, like the fire chief, the police chief,
That's what we're working on.
okay,
There is an application for display of fireworks. already in-
right, that needs to be signed off on.
Right,
Yes.
but we're developing a policy so that it provides more guidance, because right now there's nothing to guide you in the completion of that application.
Okay,
Which can be very confusing, and searches proved to be problematic last year when we had applications for fireworks display.
okay.
Are you having some? Are you having a party?
Yeah, tonight, I was going to tonight, so I didn't know.
Good. Mr. Johnson?
I was just reading the Department of Public Safety Division of Fireworks, and it says that only thing that's basically allowed in Vermont is sparklers and fireworks under 14 inches and less than 20 grams of pyrotechnic mixture, 14 inches long. Novelty items, sparklers, snakes, party poppers, glowworms, smoke devices, and a fine of $5,000 for having and using excess thereof.
Understood.
So I don't consider party poppers myself or sparklers as a firework, but
That's all.
that's what I read right here.
Wait, should we impose a penalty in this policy or just default to state statute? Like if somebody shoots off fireworks without a permit?
You have to,
So.
John?
Yeah, I'd like to, at some point, just share a couple comments, but it can be in a few minutes.
Go ahead.
And I read the ordinance as presented. I realize it's the first reading. As it's written, nobody's gonna have a permit in Weathersfield because it's so restrictive. It won't allow fireworks on private property. If somebody's having a wedding and they want to put on a little display, won't be allowed. If it's on public property, I challenge you to find a place where it'll actually meet clearances that would be considered public property. The other thing is, or one other thing is that the as written, trying to put my thoughts together here. Well, I appreciate the fact that you were talking about consumer versus display. There's no reference to NFPA in there, and NFPA is the one, that's where the clearances are spelled out. And I asked, did anybody talk to fire prevention to ask their opinion on this? And specifically, did anybody talk to fire prevention about what's considered a public display? Because if you didn't, I did. That's just back when we were having a discussion last July. And their interpretation of a public display is if the public can see it, they don't have to necessarily be on the property. In other words, if what Mark Gerard used to do would be a public display. Mark couldn't have his display anymore, the way it's written. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's up to you guys to make the decision. But the way it's written, nobody's going to have a display in Weathersfield. It's that simple. Nobody's going to have, let me clarify that, nobody's going to have a legal display. You're still going to have people that are going to go over to Newport and you won't know who they are. So then you got no control. I'm sure that the sheriff's department got better things to do than riding around talking to people after the display's over. I didn't see anything in there about enforcement either. So whether or not you want to put something in there for enforcement and go through that whole rigmarole, it's kind of water over the dam. But back when the current permitting was put together, as when Kelly Murphy was chair, a lot of thought went into it, believe it or not, and some compromises were made. And at that time, we thought it was adequate. All of a sudden now, it isn't adequate because some people in town have chosen to make it a big to-do when somebody wants to put on a display. With that said, I understand that fireworks can be disruptive, and they can frighten animals, but put the restrictions on you got now. A display of fireworks, you won't have to worry about it because nobody's going to come in for a permit. You're just going to have people willy-nilly shooting them off at 2 a.m. That's simple.
Okay, thank you, John.
Josh Compo would like to say something. Go ahead, Josh.
How's the audio? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I would share a couple of the concerns that John does, mostly that I think there should be a path to getting a permit because it allows us to have some recourse for wildfire danger and knowing where fireworks might be taking place. Yes, there was some concern over one last year. Following that, I received 3 or 4 different reports of significant sized fireworks in town over the course of the summer. Some of those during pretty significant dry spells, allowing us no recourse. And as far as a fine goes, I think the sheriff told me it was only $100 fine to be discharging fireworks illegally. I think we should check on that and possibly include a higher fine if that's possible, because $100 is not going to persuade people to follow the law, would be my comments. And then I think any definitions that could be spelled out would be great.
August Murray.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it fairly short. I kind of echo the Forrest comments. I think definitions are important, especially when they're in statute. What Mr. Harrison said is a word of mouth discussion about what someone says for a definition means 0 in life, because you will not find a definition by the state of Vermont for public display. What you will find is in the NFPA standards, you will find a definition for a public setting or public display of fireworks that is defined. So there's your definition. And I think that was a very good point that the Forrest made. What I'll also say is, I think we have to be very smart about fire safety and about following laws. I don't think anyone should be tap dancing around well, if you do this or you do that, you can work around the law. Let's just be real clear here. We have laws, they have to be followed. It's that simple. Those are the laws. Vermont's fireworks laws became very restrictive. Retail fireworks, those little poppers, the little sparklers, that's pretty much all you can do in your yard now. There's reasons for that because our state's like 80% forested. And it's a real fire issue because of irresponsible illegal use. We had Running Deer Campground had a successful permit last year, and they did it by the state standards. There's also a really good display, I understand, at Scottney, Mount Scottney. So there are legal ways to do it, and I think that this policy is a great start. And I think that the suggestions made tonight to tighten it up are good, but I wouldn't dance around the issues of which laws do we decide we're not going to follow. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Darlene?
Isn't there a noise ordinance as well in Weathersfield? That should tie in with the fireworks displays.
Do we have a noise ordinance?
Yes, we do.
I know it was years ago, but we were told by police that, by the time, police investigated fireworks that were happening, like bordering our property, it would be too late because they would be done and there was no fireworks safety committee in Weathersfield to enforce a law. So the question is, can a sheriff enforce a law? Or does it again have to be written out by the fire chief, police chief, sheriff, whatever?
So yeah, the sheriff can enforce a policy adopted by the select board. We don't have anything in place to impose a fine right now.
Okay.
So it defaults to the $100 to Chief Compost point.
Force?
Is a policy sufficient or should this be an ordinance?
That's what just crossed my mind too.
Yeah, I'm just
We may
thinking,
need
we're
to,
talking fines and enforcement, maybe an ordinance is more appropriate than a policy.
yep. I agree. Is the rest of the board okay with changing this into an ordinance?
Nathan? Doing roll call.
Kind of break down for me though, like what's the nuance if we move that towards an ordinance? What's the nuance? How does that sort of play out for a policy versus an ordinance?
Isn't that an enforcement issue?
Yeah, an ordinance is enforceable in the town when you impose fines. Let me just look up the exact definition.
Policy is more of a guideline,
Yeah.
whereas an ordinance.
So an ordinance is an expression of municipal willing affecting the conduct of the inhabitants generally or of a number of them under general designation. I came from the city of Barry, the Perry and Scribner. The LCTs. According to VLCT, a policy is a course of action, guiding principle, procedure, or strategy that is adopted by a municipal public body. An ordinance is a legislative act by the legislative body of the municipality.
Hey, Joseph Bugla, just a quick question here. In order to go into an ordinance, does it need to have a guiding policy first to be able to structure the ordinance? Just a kind of procedural question on that. And then, if we're gonna be putting all the restrictions on the fireworks, it'd be awesome if the town had a fireworks display. Just saying, devil's advocate, I think that'd be really kind of cool to soften the blow, so to speak, when, hey, we're gonna drop the hammer on this, but we're gonna throw a kick-ass event, Oh, sorry, I'm a French.
I like that idea.
I mean, and oddly, we would want to make sure that our policy wasn't so restrictive that the town couldn't do a public display, right?
Public displays are allowed.
It's a catch 22 right there.
Alright. Mike, do you wanna, is it all right to change it to an ordinance, or do you wanna keep, okay, everyone else is on board, DeForest?
I am.
Rita?
Yep.
Okay,
One more thing.
yeah, John Harrison, just cause patience is doing it all along.
Okay.
The distinction between the consumer and display fireworks is really important. Display fireworks 1.3, the higher, the big stuff. Joe Blow is not going to get a hold of that. Or if he does, he's really in very serious trouble with the ATF. Potential problem. Any company that puts on a display anywhere, not only Vermont, anywhere, carries an enormous amount of insurance, and you won't find a company that I'm aware of or I've heard of putting on a display that doesn't take into consideration all the proper clearances. If you want to add stuff about letting neighbors know and stuff like that, that's another issue. But you are not going to find somebody putting on display fireworks anywhere that isn't doing it per code, because the liability is huge if you do it wrong. That's not just to say that things can't go wrong, because every 4th of July, somebody's show, one was down in Massachusetts where a whole barge went up. Nobody got hurt because it was set up with the proper clearances and stuff. So stuff can go wrong. We're always aware that something can go wrong, and there's always a plan if something does go wrong. New Hampshire requires licensing, and they require the fire department beyond. I'm still talking about display. They require the fire department to be on site as soon as the fireworks are there. And the rule of thumb is if they see the guy lighting it, or if they see the company running, make sure you're in front of them, because that's kind of an industry joke. But the perception of how what can be dangerous is the misuse of consumer fireworks. Well, some football player stuck one on his head and almost killed himself. So I mean, and once again, I hate to go with cliches, but the problem with consumer fireworks are it's usually the guy that's the most drunk that's lighting them, and that's unfortunately the truth. So you need to make a way that you can know who's lighting them, how they're doing it, and make sure they just make it doable.
Yeah.
Wayne Johnson.
Yeah, Wayne Johnson. I'd just like to reiterate on this, and can we go to consumer fireworks and display fireworks, and go back to the state law. I don't think this town can supersede state law. And the state law, consumer fireworks are strictly sparkless. No, I didn't make the rule. I don't like the rule. I mean, I like fireworks, but it's just sparklers and worms and snakes and devices. There is no such thing as a consumer firework legal in the state of Vermont beyond those. In New Hampshire, there is. You can go over to Claremont in Newport and buy them. There's no, it's against the law to even transport them in Vermont unless you have a license from firearm guns and ammunition and all that. You can't even transport them. I was told years ago by police in this town I wanted to have a firework display. We don't have a firework commission. We don't have a display. It was for my kid's graduation from college. If somehow they mysteriously ended up on your property and got set off before I know, well, somehow they mysteriously did. I broke the law. That was years ago. But we don't have the law. So I'm just saying, if somebody wants to go ahead and take the chance doing it on their own, then suffer the consequence. Today, everybody's got cameras and video cameras, and I'm sure you're going to get recorded if you do it today.
Mike.
Yeah, I understand that, and I also understand August's position, because you guys are saying the same thing. The law is the law. I mean,
The law's the law.
however, John's making a really good point over there too. People are going to break the law. people are going to break the law. So we're better off, I have the floor, thanks. So I think we're better off having somebody coming in and telling us, look, I'm gonna shoot off a little fireworks display, it's gonna take about 30 minutes, this is where I'm gonna do it, this is when I'm gonna do it. And, you know, they need to check with the fire department, make sure that, you know, there's a firm restriction, which would, you know, cause that means you're probably not going to want to be setting off fireworks. You know, I don't wanna tell people to break the law, but I know they're going to. And so I'd rather be on.
Well, I understand that, but that's what I'm
You're-
saying, is the
you're-
board prepared to take the
Sir, you're right.
responsibility of saying.
Kelly,
okay,
is
well,
that
I
order?
want-
Kelly, it's out of order.
Jonathan, you gotta let him finish.
Yes.
You can't interrupt, okay? I'm done, come on, second.
All of this conversation brings back to my mind the fact that whichever of the gas stations it is right by exit 8 has a sign out front. I don't think it's out there right now, but that, you know, fireworks for sale. And maybe even the Escutney Market had that sign, and it's like, well, if it's not legal, how can they even have a sign out there offering them for sale?
Well, if we had the ordinance, we would be able to say we can't do that.
I see.
And the fireworks that they sell are the fireworks that Mr. Johnson was
Yeah, it's
describing, like
just,
sparklers
I
and
see.
stuff like that. That's, I think Kelly, you had brought that to my attention last year when we investigated it. And it was just sparklers and.
That's more than that, but Mr. Murray,
Yes, this is good discussion, thank you, and I'll keep it short. Yeah, those are those little popper snakes, little sparklers, they look all fancy and everything, but there's like, you know, tiny little bit of gunpowder. I believe it's called Dillon's rule in Vermont. It's a VLCT. We can't pass an ordinance or a policy that we knowingly violate state law. So I think this policy's I read the packet. I think it's fairly close. I think with the feedback the select board gave the town manager, you'll be real close. And I think you have 3 readings, but I was just going to remind you that we can't do something knowingly that's going to violate the law. We have to work within the law, and there are ways to do it. And it's you have to have enough land for the size of the fireworks, and you have to have the checklist to write on the state website. It's possible. You just got to follow the rules, like everything else in life. Thank you.
I agree with that. I don't know how we could knowingly violate state law. As much as we might want to accommodate, and as much as we know people are gonna. And I certainly take Chief Compo's concerns into account, knowing that people are gonna try and skirt it. It's a problem when we're in a severe drought situation, and it could cause some real problems, but. I agree that the law is, state law is this. We can't knowingly violate that. What kind of position does that put us in? By giving someone permission, knowing that it violates the state law. So I'm, as much as I understand John's regulations. Mr. Harrison, excuse me. I can't,
I have another point at some point, if possible.
I ask that we proceed to turn this into an ordinance and add some kind of fine to put some teeth into it. And then we'll explore other options from there.
you wanna go first, Brandon? Or do you want Josh?
Josh can go.
Josh, go ahead.
So I mean, I agree with what August is saying. I question how other towns are legally posting that fireworks are happening, such as Springfield will post on their police department page that there are displays at, you know, these 10 addresses on this day, and that they've met the standards. I question how they're doing that. But I guess I would reiterate that my concerns are safety based, and having enough teeth in the policy or the ordinance that would allow the sheriff's department hopefully to enforce it even after the fact is kind of going to be key. Because from a fire department perspective, even if we know it's happening, that's not something I would go to without law enforcement. Not really an atmosphere that we should go to alone. And again, fire safety and resident safety being key, I think timing is of the essence with that kind of stuff.
Is the board interested in exploring a town firework display?
I think it's a great idea. I know it's obscenely expensive because of the insurance requirements, but I think it's a great suggestion to
Okay,
soften the blow.
I'm gonna explore that as well, see like what it would cost in terms of the fireworks themselves and the insurance and,
It would be a nice town event.
yep.
And while you're at it, explore the possibility of the ones that don't have noise to them. Because that's a lot easier on the animals.
Yep.
A
Explore.
virtual display.
It's not a display, it just doesn't have explosion to them, they get used to.
Cool. Sorry, I was on board.
So it's explore noiseless fireworks. Okay.
Maybe they're cheaper. Who knows?
So,
John?
Massachusetts, they're illegal, period. New Hampshire, they're not. Their laws are very similar, or I shouldn't say similar to Vermont. Vermont's laws are really, really vague. And I think they're purposely vague for a reason. They leave it up to 256 towns to figure out what they want to do. And through conversations with fire prevention, they're really taking a hands-off approach to this. Some towns is absolutely nothing. I did a display in Andover, and the owner went to the Selectboard, and they said, "Okay, well, it's over by 9:30. Go ahead." Other towns are more restrictive. I don't. You're going to try to compare yours because I haven't seen that many others. I know that Springfield has considerably greater distances from structures than NFPA requires. And to clarify something, you can go to stores probably not open this time of year. You can go to East Montpelier and buy consumer fireworks most of the time when they're open. There used to be a store in Fairleigh that they have since closed. The only one I'm aware of in Vermont right now is in East Montpelier. So there are facilities in Vermont selling the same stuff that they sell over in Newport. So that they are available. To light them without a permit, that's what's illegal. You have to have a permit to light them. And there's no mechanism in place at the store. Here's my permit, can I buy them? That doesn't exist. They recommend, because just to cover their butt, but there's no requirement that you present your permit before you buy.
So are we in a position where we're saying, well, we don't want to regulate this locally? We have a choice. We could regulate it locally. If we're gonna do that, it needs to be in compliance with state law. If we're not gonna regulate it, like, or we could do the opposite and just say we're not gonna regulate it at all, which doesn't put us in any liable position, but the state enforce its own laws.
Mike?
and
Does that make sense? I think that's kind of where we're at. If it's not required that we have this ordinance or policy, it's our choice, then my choice is if we're going to have it, it needs to comply with state law. I don't want to give a permit to someone that puts us in a bad position because it violates state law. If we're not willing to do that, we want to accommodate people to have fireworks because we know they're going to do it anyway, then I don't want a local policy that's going to enable that when it's in conflict with state law. That's just one person. Something.
All right, so I'll turn this into an ordinance. And then I'll explore a town firework display, noiseless fireworks. And I'll look into what a sufficient fine would be if there was an incident where somebody shot fireworks without a permit. Does anybody have like a range they're looking at? Like, should we set $1,000 fine?
Mhm.
Okay.
it should be enough to be a deterrent.
Yep.
$100 is kind of cost of doing business.
Brandon,
All right.
would it also make sense just to poll? Because I keep hearing that Springfield's doing it one way. Would it be make some sense just to pull their process, how they kind of approach the same issue?
Yeah, I'll take a look into Springfield. I think we did last year. So I may have some research already saved.
I wanna know what these ski areas do then. They have fireworks even in the summer. So, and they're Vermont. They can't just have them in the winter time where the ground is covered. Cause I know they have them during the 4th of July. I've seen them advertise it.
But those may be public displays, and they may be able to meet all those
Okay.
setback requirements. If it's a public display, it's legal, as long as it meets the standards.
Okay, we'll move on. Next discussion, Veterans Committee policy.
So this was our last committee to attach a policy to. I took a stab at it and this is where we're currently at. It's basically open for discussion at this point.
I have a lot of questions.
I'm sure you do. Okay, go ahead, DeForest.
First of all, the Veterans Committee is a very different name than Veterans Memorial Committee.
Yep.
Are we attempting to change the focus of this organization?
We can add memorial back in there.
The committee's right here to answer for any questions. I apologize.
I'm not there yet.
So it can be Veterans Committee or Veterans Memorial Committee, whichever.
If it becomes Veterans Committee, then you'll have to abolish the Veterans Memorial Committee.
I see. Okay.
Because that already exists. We have a roster, we have people sitting on it.
Yep.
That have already been appointed to it. So it was my understanding that this was to define the missions of an existing committee, which is the Veterans Memorial Committee. So that's my first comment.
Chair,
I'm not done.
what, if you're not done with that one comment, I do have a response to that one comment.
Just a second, we're gonna let her finish.
Yes, ma'am.
The purpose and mission of the Veterans Memorial Committee is to honor all veterans by, and that's to be carried out by organizing and hosting ceremonies on Veterans and Memorial Day, maintaining the role of honor. And here I have a correction, recognizing all veterans who were residents of the town of Weathersfield when entering the military service. That is defined at the bottom of the roll of honor and has been on there since the first roll was published. That is the rule by which we have adhered since 2010, when the first role was created. We've actually turned down people that weren't eligible. I don't know why we would change that rule at this point. Promoting education and awareness among community members and students, I totally agree with that. Working with the town to ensure the maintenance and preservation of veteran-related monuments and historic sites. And I would like to have, including but not limited to, the Veterans Memorial Park, monuments in the Memorial Grove, and the 10-mile markers on the Crown Point Road. I think that little hunk of real estate at the south end of the Perkinsville Green was created as a memorial park as part of the mission of the Veterans Memorial Committee to oversee its care. And the reserve funds that, getting down to the financing section, but at any rate, I want to continue with that.
Could you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Patients may be capturing this, but
including but not limited to the Veterans Memorial Park, monuments in the Memorial Grove, and the 10-mile markers on the Crown Point Road. In addition to the Roll of Honor, there are 2 other panels at the Memorial Park. They were intended to be used for educational purposes, which has always been one of the missions of the Veterans Memorial Committee. And it says here to promote education and awareness. That's what those 2 side panels are used for. It doesn't mention anything here about taking care of them. and periodically rotating them. These two panels here, these are retired panels. There are more at the Perkinsville School, and there are more here at the town office that are waiting to be framed and put at the Perkinsville School when someone is able to do that. Under organization, there's nothing mentioned about who takes minutes for these meetings. Is that something to still be worked out? Under finances, there still exists a reserve fund for the Veterans Memorial Committee. That money was raised through donations and fundraising. It's not tax money. That money is allocated specifically for maintenance of the Memorial Park, updating the roll of honor, taking care of the monument when it needs cleaning, restoring the gardens, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Buying flag for the Perkinsville Green when that needs to be replaced, which is fairly often. And doing those educational panels. That's what that money is for. Once that's gone, then I see no reason why the committee couldn't ask for an allocation in the general fund budget to meet those needs, but that money is there specifically for that purpose. And you can see in the town meeting where it was changed. It was originally set up for the creation of the Veterans Memorial Park. And then once that was completed, the focus of that reserve was expanded to include the maintenance of it and sponsoring the twice annual ceremonies, whatever expenses are associated with that.
And we do have a line item in the budget for Memorial Day. I believe it's $800 a year.
I don't know where that came from. We had always promised we would not use tax funds for the creation of it. And once those reserve funds are gone, I don't see why we wouldn't want to have a line, but in the meantime, that's what those reserves are for.
Yep.
Under finances. It says the committee shall submit a written request for expenditures to the town manager, but it also should be a motion recorded in the minutes. Authorizing the expenditure by the committee itself that should accompany whatever invoices are given to the town manager. That's the way we had always done it. When the committee decides it needs to incur an expense, they make a motion at a regularly warned meeting. That motion is recorded in the minutes and it accompanies any request for expenses of for expenditure of certain funds.
So it does say that in here, 5C, the committee may vote to recommend the expenditure of operating and or reserve
Okay,
funds.
sorry, I missed it.
Now, there's two parts to this. The committee would make the recommendation to me for like operating funds, like for the memorial, for Memorial Day funds that have been set aside since I've been here at least. I think it's been $800. But if it comes from reserve funds, then it would have to come to the select board for approval.
I don't know when that happened, when the general fund was tapped for those expenses. It was never authorized by the committee, it was never requested by the committee. However, I will say that the town has an agreement with the Perkinsville Church. I had sent you a copy a while ago.
Yep.
For $200 a year for use of the electricity on that pole on the green for when there's. We need to use a PA system for those ceremonies. We have a written agreement with the Perkinsville Church that the town will pay the church $200 a year for the electricity for that. I don't know if that belongs in here. I don't think it does because it's not an expense anymore. Because of the way the agreement was written, it was between the town and not the Veterans Memorial Committee and the Perkinsville Church. It was just the town and the church.
Yeah.
That was done under Jim Allen. So those are my comments. Other than that, I think it's fine.
August, you have a comment about the name.
Thanks, Chair. Well, I'm the chair of the Veterans Committee, August Murray, Colonel, U.S. Army retired. And I have the other members of the Veterans Committee here too, Joe Blatt, Darlene, Wayne Johnson. And I just wanted to start off by saying it's been a pleasure serving this past 1-year term on the committee. We've worked very hard to hold, I believe, very nice events for the town of Weathersfield. And we've not requested, we considered a request for a PA system, then we found out there is a PA system. But everything that we've done in this past year, we've done through personal out-of-pocket donations. We our families hand painted the benches down there. The flag flying over Perkinsville was a flag I brought back from Iraq. The flag flying in Ascutney is my retirement flag. We donated those. The three of us gentlemen before Darlene joined us raised those flags together. So being a volunteer is very important for us to support our veterans and the legacy. So I just wanted to preface that by saying thank you for the opportunity to serve. In terms of the name, just like everything else in committee work or board work, we have professional meetings. We do it through committee process. We use the agenda. When we were contacted by the town, I think the select board actually tasked us, and I believe it was Ms. Beers, that, hey, you need to review your mission statement, your purpose. And so we said, yes, roger that. We sat down, we met, and we said, okay, well, we do more than just the memorial. The memorial's built. And our understanding that with the purpose of standing up the committee years ago by Chip Cobb was to establish that memorial. And now it's a series of other things, not just the memorial. It's the roll of honor, it's conducting the ceremonies. And in the turnover, because the other members all left, we didn't have a lot of turnover. I'm grateful for what we got, but there was no policy. And so the town sent us what was on the website, and we met and we voted that the name of the committee should be changed, not disband the committee and form a new committee. I think that's kind of an inappropriate remark. We voted that it should be the Veterans Committee, because it's more than just the memorial that the Veterans Committee accomplishes. We also, it was conflicting to us because on the website, one of the purposes that was sent to us to review was to honor all veterans who have been Weathersfield residents on the roll of honor. I don't know if I stated that verbatim, but I think that was pretty close.
That is what's on the website, and that's not correct.
Well, we didn't know any better.
It's on the roll of honor at the park. It's stated right at the bottom of it.
And that's when we realized we had a challenge, because when it was brought up to us on Veterans Day, we were basically confronted at the ceremony, 2 members saying that we were wrong to honor all veterans on the roll of honor. We haven't updated the roll of honor, by the way. We did vote for new members, but we voted that without knowing, there's no policy. And we're like, okay, it says this on the website, says this on the roll of honor. And we voted and said we should recognize all veterans. And so I guess where I'd like to go is this. I think the policy is a good start. I think the committee will meet again in February. Ms. Beers, you have a lot of history. I'd like to nominate you tonight to be our 5th member and rejoin and help us.
I would be delighted to do that, but I need to file an application first.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotta follow the policy.
Well, you could also suspend the rules with a more than a 2/3 vote.
I don't think we want to break the rules from my benefit, but I would.
But I would love it if you'd come back and help us.
I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, and I think that I'm just going to say this and keep it short because you have a big agenda tonight. I think there's an amicable way to resolve this, and I think we all want to recognize veterans. The state of Vermont has one of the 3 medals they give out. I joined as a Vermonter at 17. I retired as a Vermonter, as a Weathersfield resident. I joined as a Westminster resident. But I got the Vermont Faithful Service Medal because there's 2 categories. You could either have been a Vermont resident when you joined, or you could be a veteran who is now a Vermont resident. And I think a solution is to recognize all Weathersfield veterans, but first and foremost, those who enlisted to respect and honor the tradition of the roll of honor. There should be a category, whether it's an oak leaf or a star or some type of differentiation. Those should be differentiated. But I don't think we want to be inclusive. We want all people to feel welcome who are veterans, not just because they might have enlisted here. There's lots of veterans who are Weathersfielders who were not here when they enlisted. But what I would say is the way to do that, though, is at the committee through a collaborative process and through discussion. And then the policy is updated. And this was our first time seeing the policy was when it went out in the select board packet. So I don't think, I think everything we did is in good faith. I hope this discussion is helpful. I don't know if there's any questions for me. The rest of the committee members are here, I guess. Yeah, so thank you, Chair.
I raised my hand because of the comment that he said, I'm a veteran, but I was Springfield when I enlisted, but I'm a Weathersfield resident now. So
I think there's a way to honor the past, but I think
Attorney Shand and Royal Houghton, they may not allowed to be on it. So it's It's discussion for, we shall have at the
Yeah.
meeting, we don't wanna have it,
Yes, ma'am.
but it's something we can
okay.
certainly work.
Thank you for my time, and when we meet in February, I'll make sure everyone has an invite. Because there's also a possibility that reserve money is sitting there, and there may be a better use for it. We've discussed that as well. Well, thank you.
I have one question. When will the meeting be in February?
I think it's the third Thursday.
Okay, Thursday.
It's on the website.
Yeah, the website says 2 days, on the left-hand side, it says second Tuesday, in the context of the board, it says the third Thursday. Hopefully we can fix that.
Should we wait until the second meeting in February to do a first reading until after the Veterans Memorial
I think we have
Committee?
some stuff to hammer out, it'd be great if
Okay.
we could, if
So
we
just
could put
kinda
this on
hold
hold
this.
until then.
All right, sounds good. So we'll add it as a future agenda item. First
We're
meeting
back
in
in.
March.
You need something to say
Yeah,
before we move on?
Yeah, just like, I think Forrest has already summed it up, that we have it at the meeting. Cause I was just reading, on John's request, I had never seen the policy either, and the only reason why I joined, I've never been on a committee in Vermont, but when all this went down and then there was some hard feeling stuff, I said, you know what? There's gotta be a veterans committee, so that's why I decided, I had
Should have
never,
a copy.
I saw the book from is that the same book that was in the library?
Yeah,
Yeah, I went through that, I read that, and I also went through and looked at past minutes, and I did not see, I saw the committee, it looks like it was never actually a committee until 2021. It was just a group of people that met, until then. And I'm sure that it wasn't the committee's, thought process to eliminate or to look away from a whole lot of Weathersfield veterans. But the way it was written with only when they, enlisted, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. A gentleman came to me to put on, he grew up in this town, went to all years in this town, went to high school in Windsor. Came back and lived in this town, lives right here, and I'm not mentioning names, but you guys would all know him and you know who he is. Went to high school, went to college in Utah, came back, couldn't get a job. Went to live in New York City with his sister, when she was in college, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna enlist. He enlisted. He'd been in New York City for exactly 2 weeks. He'd spent his whole life here in this town, except for when he went in college. By this policy, it eliminates him the way it is from being, even though he's a Weathersfield veteran, which is, to me, that's overpassing a whole bunch of Weathersfield veterans. And on the same token, somebody that moves from New Hampshire, lives in a town 1 week, decides to join the military, can be on it. It's getting rid of a whole lot of Weathersfield veterans that served this country with honor.
that's a discussion.
That's a discussion, that's what I'm saying, but
Not now.
but the other thing I would like to bring up that should be here is none of the minutes that I found are actually approved, they're all in draft form still. Everything's in draft.
Another discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Town
Well, I
board.
vote for DeForest to be chair.
Of what?
This board.
Oh. Sorry.
Somebody's gotta do it.
Okay, I'm done with this for now. We're gonna put this on hold, right, until after we have a.
Town forest access discussion, Mrs. Shu.
So the purpose of putting on, we had not a free meeting tonight, but a meeting where we just finished up with budget and the town meeting morning. We had a lot of future agenda items. So we put a lot of those future agenda items on tonight's agenda to kick them off. This is one of those items, of course, Veterans Committee and fireworks and so forth were on as future agenda items. So we figured tonight was a good night to put these agenda items on. The last time we talked about the town forest access, we were exploring different possibilities to access the town forest from Thrasher Road area. And that's where we left off.
Has there been anything done since we put it on the future agenda items?
We have not made any progress to get access to the town forest.
What does that mean?
There hasn't been any,
No one's come forward to donate land so that we can donate us the access to it?
exactly, I believe, I'd have to look back at the last meeting that we spoke, but, someone was gonna talk to Mr. McDermott to see if there was possibility.
And who is
I
that?
thought it was Dave Fuller. He's gonna-
Is the Conservation Commission involved in this at all?
I am not sure, but I can circle back around with them.
There is a town forest recreation plan that was published. I don't know if anybody's read it or even seen it. But we spent money to evaluate the town forest and what its uses might be. And one of the action items in that plan is to gain access from the Weathersfield side.
Yep.
I understand, I think you had explained to us before that we had a system going, but it was all based on leverage for delinquent taxes, and then someone came forward and paid those delinquent taxes, so all of those arrangements disappeared.
Yep.
And since that time, there's been apparently the owner was upset with how she had been approached on this after the taxes had been paid, and or even was, I don't know if she was resentful of the whole process, I don't know. So the only other person who has a direct line to it is from McDermott.
Yep.
I don't know that there was ever any entity appointed to pursue this outside of the town manager and a handful of volunteers. There was nothing official that I recall. I am not educated or trained in how to approach someone. Or it's like approaching someone to ask them for conservation easement. There's definite training that one should have before you do that, and I don't have it, so I don't feel qualified to approach, even though I've known him my whole life. I don't know if I would be an appropriate party to speak to him. I don't feel confident to do that. I don't know what we're offering in exchange for providing access. I'm completely ignorant in the process.
And the board has not established an offer for access.
Maybe we should all read the town forest recreation plan and see what it has to say before we decide on what we need to do. Can you make sure everybody gets a copy? I have a
Yes.
copy, but could you make sure the other members have a copy of it? Other than that, I don't know what to say about it.
That's
It
really,
involves crossing a wetland across the Abbott's property. I know we had engaged someone to get started on that permit to do the crossing. It involves providing a place for people to park their vehicles. That was also on the Abbott property. But if all of that has disintegrated, I don't know what the backup plan would be.
and I think there's been some ownership changes too. So maybe dealing with a couple of different situations.
Well, I believe it's a situation, the person who paid the delinquent taxes will become the owner of the property at some point.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I believe something's been recorded, but I haven't read that document. And that parcel of land didn't get the town full access to the town forest. It was still the Johnsons' property to get.
That's
there.
where there was a change of property ownership, when Charles passed away.
Yes.
That went to his wife. And I believe she was looking for some kind of remuneration for the
Her and her
right
son.
cross.
her son and I met down here, and we did come to an agreement that I brought to the board to get access through their property. And they were willing to do it if we waived taxes on the property.
Well, there's no access from, they only own that little piece where there's some water at the top. right?
Yes, a narrow
They
strip,
can't provide
but
access.
we have to cross through it in order to have access to the town.
Right,
forest.
right.
So they were like an intricate piece, so that piece was worked out, but then her son had passed away.
Mhm.
And we haven't started discussion since.
If there's no political will to do this, then maybe we just drop it. Right? Unless there's enough, I mean, we do have a plan, we paid for it, so we have to at least. I hate to see yet another plan sit on the shelf and go nowhere after spending money on it. But if this board is not interested in pursuing it, then there's no point in pursuing it.
Does anybody have interest in pursuing it?
I would love to see the options. I mean, I think it's a great resource. And right now the awkward kind of parking outside the Scutney Park and then going down the road and then in through the second gate is kind of a pain, right? And makes it pretty unaccessible. I would love to see. I mean, it sounds like scenarios have been thought up. I think having sort of a list of potential scenarios of right away or whatever that the town could pursue would be the first step, and then looking at the pros or cons of any of those, which and then sometimes that's landowners saying no, sometimes it's like there's other obstacles, but sometimes if we at least come through potentials, then we know who to talk to, who to approach. But I think it's a beautiful property, and it's a shame people don't use it more. And I think access is that one of those key hurdles.
And I would like to see a demonstration of interest on the part of the town before we go much further with it beyond reading the plan.
Okay.
John?
This may muddy the waters more than it clears anything up. The town did indeed have a contract at one time with the Abbotts for access across the Abbott property to get to the forest. There's another part, another part to that. But at the time, the Abbotts were way behind in their taxes. Most of it was penalties and interest, which snowballs rapidly. The number was totally out of control, and that at that time it looked like a way that the Abbotts could get out of it, the town could gain access, and we would move on. There was 3 acres that the Abbotts were going to give to the town. There were 3 acres that would be bequeathed to the town for parking, which would have been on the south side of the road. And there were problems because the survey went across the wetland. Was a problem. Anyway, to make a long story short, in the wings, there was always there for a long time. There was somebody, a resident, that was interested in the property, and this is all verbal. But when is the Abbott still the owner of record or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, so that's still to be determined. Who actually owns the property? And I don't know either. It should be sitting up there somewhere. Who owns it? Anyway, there was a verbal agreement when the person came. When I say verbal, it was just hearsay. It's actually a better way to put it. That when this resident came in and actually paid all the penalties and interest, it was over $100,000. It was a big chunk of money. That person would continue to work with the town to gain access. And this seems to be lingering now for at least before your time here. So it's been lingering out there for a long time. And just for your information, there's also another piece to this that's a problem, and that's that there's a strip of land on the north side of the Abbotts before you get to our property that belongs to the Johnsons. That have a water right all the way across the interstate, and you needed to get across that, or figure out how to access it around the interstate. So all this was discussed at length, and it looked like we were almost there, and the property was sold, the town pocketed the money, and it's been languishing ever since.
Exactly.
And so whether or not somebody could negotiate with the McDermotts, which would be a cleaner one, because you don't have to go across the Johnson property. I have no idea if that's doable. I have no idea if the maybe new owner is willing to work with us or not, with a different right of way that avoids the wetland. But I think it's important to the town to be able to access the property that we own that was given to us, other than going into West Windsor and coming in the other direction.
Hindsight.
Yeah. Guess we move on. Transfer station discussion. Is you, Brandon?
Yeah. So we explored various different vending machine options. Did every board member have an opportunity to read this memo? Okay. Any interest in proceeding with the vending machine?
Yes. Are these pictures of the AC 110?
Yeah, the pictures aren't identified.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking at. We
So
got a lot of pictures of different vending machines, but I didn't know how they correlated to the dispensers that were described in page 1 of the memo.
So those are different options, and then we received actual quotes from based on the Londonderry vending machine.
The AC 110 seems to be the most, it's designed for ticket sales, it's secure locking, accepts common payment methods. It's
Yes.
pricey, it requires some environmental protection, but I say it's timely upgrade our transfer station a little bit, put some money into it.
Okay.
I think this would be extremely helpful to people, so Mr. Todd doesn't have to go there and sell tickets on Saturday morning, or Ms. Henderson either. I don't have to get an earful because Scotty Market ran out of tickets on the day my husband wants to go to the transfer station.
Yeah.
I like this, I know it's pricey, but I'm in favor of it.
So the AC 110 is the simple. It's this machine here, which prints ticket. Obviously, ours won't say ride tickets.
Right on the car.
So we'll just have one, we just have one of those in town, then we won't have more than one.
We could
just at the transfer station.
put it at the transfer station. Now the gentleman at that owns the Perkinsville Post Office building, he did say we could put it inside there too. So we could either put it there at the transfer station or both.
Is that accessible on a Sunday?
It's
That
open
place?
24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
My only question with that is mounting a machine like that over there. Somebody stole a excavator and took
Took the
an
ATM
ATM machine out of the store.
But this has nothing to steal.
Well, yeah, it does. It's-
Well, it would have money in it.
It would have cash.
Yeah.
And even if it's not a lot of money, nobody knows that until they steal it and bust it open. And that, well, Dave kind of harped on that same thing, and a few other people said the same, that you want to be careful about what you're leaving behind when you close the gate. We've had a couple incidents where people broke in and stole a bunch of stuff out of the electronics room. Remember, I mean, a couple of years ago, we dealt with that.
Would it be more secure in the post office building?
Yeah, probably. Or even the store, if they'd be willing to give us a space for it, something.
I'm not willing to do business with this.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
I think they fall my.
I can't even say what I had, yeah.
Their management is lacking.
The driveway was fairly flat and open and stuff.
I think, I'm sorry, I just keep talking to you, so I said.
Yeah, if the board's okay with it, we'll proceed. We'll make sure that it's a secure in a secure place. And we will move forward with the idea.
Don't do it on my say so.
Mr. Bublat,
That's what a consensus of the board before.
Joseph Bublat's gonna speak patience.
So one thing I kind of brought up and kind of just spitballing with all this, like, okay, vending machines is a great idea. Personally, I think putting it inside the post office area would probably be the smartest place. You're gonna have climate control, it's not gonna be exposed to all the elements. The chances of an excavator are slim but never none. We all know that all too well. But there's a couple other things that we might be overlooking that could cost us even less and also be a little bit more sustainable and eco-friendly when it comes down to it. There's a need for better Wi-Fi down there at the dump for the security cameras that may or may not be working anymore. I've heard things about that. If there was a small investment made in the technology down there, we could go to a renewable card that everybody has that you could just charge up online, pay for it real quick, have an RFID scan, and just go beep, and it's done. We don't need to have infrastructure. We don't have to pay somebody to come down and stock it. We don't have all these other things to do. And then everybody, when you get your tax bill, or you can come down to the town office, get your card for the dump. You go right online, you recharge it, you put the money on it, and then the person inside, okay, well, it's, one punch, beep, done. Could just be food for thought, I like anything here in the town, there's nothing more controversial than a dump, But that would also allow, sorry, the transfer station, yeah.
The dump is buried.
I'm with you, it's called the dump.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in New Hampshire, we have landfills, so, spend some time up in Lebanon,
My trash bags in the.
Yeah, in the dumpster.
Yes.
The other
Dumpster.
The other thing to kind of think about on that too is the other towns that, are serviced by this as well. They could just have their cards, jump online, refill it all. It eliminates a lot of extra work in there. But again, just
I think
food
it's a
for
good
thought
idea too,
on it.
a reloadable card of some kind, so can you look at that?
Yep,
And,
Might be cheaper.
yeah,
it would be.
it might be.
First time,
Less
get
labor.
something cheaper.
Yeah, good thinking, thank you.
I love that idea. It might move us past the truck stickers too. Right. If we send out the reloadable card, I love that. I do like that idea. I mean,
Yeah,
I do think having maybe a smaller on-site, kiosk where they can charge the card would make sense. But I love that concept.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
So I will explore that option before we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
I didn't mean to be right on it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's a great idea.
Yeah, check that out.
It's okay.
If I may.
Yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
thing. So I was down at the
Again.
I was at the dump over the weekend, and one thing I noticed is it seems like everybody from Brownsville and Reading, they have a set time that they're coming there,
What time is that?
mornings. And I was kind of joking with that with people, but there was way more people than I ever anticipated coming from those two towns compared to what's here in town. And I know that there's, the whole formulas and whatnot going where you have your stickers that go up into those towns. And I know that there's a huge deficit with the dump transfer station as well. I'm learning. I don't know if there might be better ways to explore that as well, considering how many people really from the other towns are using it. I know that it's a never-ending black hole down there. So.
That's a good.
I don't have the magic answer. He does.
To be discussed later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't forget the one thing that we did here was, not everybody uses debit or ACH or any of that stuff in there, so. But I think that the town office, if you have to use cash. That you're gonna have to go to the town office and buy a card.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Absolutely has to be a hang of.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for the suggestion.
No problem. You can even have a mobile app that you put it right on there, like, oh crap, I ran out.
I would personally prefer that option in lieu of the infrastructure if we can make it work.
Okay.
Because then we wouldn't have to worry about the machine.
Yeah.
It's,
As the number of times that store has been hit, and to the extent, like somebody stealing an excavator next door,
Well, with Blueblair had also mentioned that if it were in the Perkinsville post office building, it's got the environmental controls that we would have.
Is that building excavated?
That's what it was. That's been going through. Well, I can picture is a chain wrapped around the vending machine. That's been bringing it through. They were responsible.
All right, Nate's falling asleep here, we need to get
Okay,
getting back to the.
All right.
the next item on the agenda is rules of procedure.
Back to you guys.
Somebody else tried to say to me,
You're doing so well.
oh, thank you, don't hurt me. So I had sent you something back in September, when you had sent us a letter in August. You were looking for guidance on what the procedural rules should be, and I had. It's a
Yeah.
deadline version, I sent you, what I have, I assumed you would take those comments, you solicited them from everybody on the board. And put them into a set of rules of procedure. And then at the next meeting or something, I suggested we use the
Yes.
VLCT model, so if you could combine. Comments that we gave you on your first request for
I see.
feedback.
Okay.
I think Mike had some too.
Yep.
So at the
Into the model set, then we could go from there.
at the 9 meeting, I thought we were just doing away with my suggested procedure and.
I think it fell flat on its face. I think you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I
Okay.
remember that too. There wasn't a whole lot of interest. I still feel like. Every board should have its set of rules of procedure.
Yep.
I know we have an ethics policy, we have open meeting law, we have this and that, but every board has its. Set of procedures that board members should know. And that's why I continue to advocate for that. And I'm hoping it falls.
August,
So,
hold on, Mike. You're next.
Thank you, Chair. I would never trump Mike Todd. So in my free time, one of my hobbies is reading Robert's Rules of Order. And
You need a broad.
I just
Tell the truth.
I just sitting on my
Tell your
couch.
wife you have nothing better to do, so you gotta find more for you.
She was in an election with me and she was reading Robert's rules.
Family
thing.
So yeah, I just completed a distance learning course, and I became a member of the National Association of Parliamentarians. So I'm a parliamentarian. And what I think DeForest is looking at that's missing is Robert's Rules of Order are the preeminent for municipalities, states, committees, boards, all over the United States. They're the gold standard for rules of procedure. But most boards and committees have a small set of bylaws for the very specific things that they do differently, which would speak to quorum matters, the length of time you let someone speak, provide public comment, things that you do routinely, routine fashion, like we will meet on such and such a time every month. Our agenda will be published at this point. Where the VLCT adds goodness is we have this open meeting law in Vermont. So municipalities, unlike other types of entities, you have to follow the open meeting laws. All of our committees in town, the municipal open meeting laws apply. So VLCT has some goodness in there, but the problem is they tried to bake down Robert's Rules of Orders and replace it with something that's rather short. And there's also some conflicts within it. Like in just reading it back in September, I did a little summary that I think I gave the board. And it was like a control of the agenda, voting thresholds, debate, and member rights. Member rights is a big one. Appeals of the chair limits the ability of the chair to appeal. Minutes, VLCT has certain minutes requirements that are different than Robert's rules. So I guess what I was going to offer is if you wanted me to support you or support Brandon to support you, and you wanted to do select board specific bylaws, you could still use Robert's Rules of Order for your parliamentarian authority because it covers everything under the sun. Typically, when you look at like our local municipalities, when they're in the news in a bad way, like a select board did something wrong or they're getting sued, it's typically because they weren't following the rules or they had a breach of their own procedures. And that's where Robert's rules, it doesn't just protect the public, it protects the board when it's closely followed. And the other thing with VLCT models is it says every time you reconstitute as a new board, you all have to get together and vote anyway. So that means, come March, as a new board, you're all going to have to vote on, if you wanted to adopt those, you'd have to vote on them anyway. So I guess where I'd leave it with this chair is, if you adopt them, there's flaws within them that would create liabilities and problems for you as a select board. It also doesn't defer to Robert's rules. You could modify them and you could add some amendments. And I've got a sample of that I prepared that I can leave with you. It says, okay, if you did these amendments, you could apply the VLCT, but you still want to refer to a parliamentary authority like Robert's rules for the things that aren't in this small little 10-page deal. Or you could do like a lot of boards and committees, so you could have a very short bylaws, and the bylaws don't really change that much. And you could say the bylaws will last for a set number of years, but the board has the option to re-vote on the bylaws, at any point. But bylaws would give you, I think, what you're looking for, those very specific little nuances about managing your board conduct. So what I can do is I can leave this with the town manager, and I'll offer myself if you'd like someone to help work up bylaws.
Okay.
Mike?
What you're leaving with the town manager, those have your recommendations on it?
Yeah, I have an executive summary of it's a 2-page difference between VLCT and Robert's rules where there's issues.
Yeah.
There's I also wrote a guide to meeting minutes for boards and committees that helps incorporate the open meeting law for Vermont municipal boards and meetings. So somebody who's never done minutes could read this, and there's a sample of minutes in the back. I know that's a challenge. And then I have some options here. Like one is, hey, if you wanted to adopt these are the changes you can make to make them work. Like you can modify them to include a reference to a parliamentary authority.
I saw it. As a matter of fact, I was definitely going there. One of the if I may.
Yeah.
There was I just gotta find which one it is. Number 6, all members, including the chair, vice chair, of the body, are entitled to full participation in the proceedings, including the right to speak, attend, speak, make motions, and vote. That one there's the big one. It's in violation of Robert's Rules of Order and our current conflict of interest policy, which you've dealt with a couple times already this year. And I remember one time I told you I don't think you need to. Which is fine, that's your choice. But that would definitely need a modification because you have a conflict of interest policy that this is not just for this board, this is for other boards. And you have to really look at that when you get into the zoning. If I'm sitting on the zoning board and my brother comes in for a zoning permit, should I be sitting on that panel? And you have to address conflict of interest and impartiality in those cases. Those are quasi-judicial proceedings. And certainly number 9 would be the reference to the parliamentary rules of authority, which is Robert's Rules of Order, current edition.
Yeah. The nice thing about Robert's rules is they're uniform. And so whether you're going to a transfer station committee or you're going to a county development committee, or the way you do motions, the numbers of people required for a vote to carry for that type of motion, those are kind of standardized things. And realistically, like you could even, when you do your reorg, you could even close the doors and do 1 hour of training on Robert's rules and motions. And that would really, I think what it would make the meetings more efficient and more streamlined. So that's just a thought.
August, how many pages are in the current edition?
Oh gosh, in hundreds. I mean, it's like a Bible. Yeah. I think it's like 800 or 900 something pages.
But I don't want rules and procedures that are 800 pages.
But I think the intent here is good intent, and August is probably we don't use all of it most of the time, but you can't take it all away. Because there's gonna come a day, you're gonna need something that's in there. You know, even if it's just once in a while, but for general function. We can come up with something that slims it down and gives us a protocol to follow. For running meetings, if you know, handling motions. You know, what type of motions are they? Main motions, privileged motions, there's 4 different categories.
Well, like one good example is, and I know you get a pack schedule, it's like, when a motion is made, you know, it's seconded, and then there's discussion. And you can obviously you can make amendments and such, but then when the motion is stated by the chair, that is the motion of record. So one person of the board might have said whatever they thought the motion was gonna be, like, hey, I move this, but when the chair restates it, that becomes the motion, unless there's a point of order to you know, request that it be restated in a different fashion. So that's what people vote on, and then that's the motion that the chair made that's voted on is the motion that goes in the minutes. That's recorded.
But see, that might be one of those things that is overcomplicating a different board and board function.
Yeah.
You know, we do it quite often. I need a motion to approve the warrant, so moved.
Yep.
Okay, so then we second and we hit debate and we vote.
I remember cases when Mr. Fuller was the chair and I was taking the minutes, and someone would make a motion. And he would reframe it. And I never knew which one we were supposed to put in the minutes, so I know exactly the kind of situation.
But you could streamline, I'm guessing like probably 3 or 4 little pages of bylaws, just the little nuances of how the select board likes to operate. And then Robert's rules of order should your backup. If there's something that's challenging or complex, you just crack that section open, you know, you can find the chapter and it's there. But I'll leave this with the town manager if that's okay. Sure.
One of the other things, I just wanna make sure it gets into this somewhere, is when it talks about the 2/3 vote. Especially, and this is number 2, it says unanimous / 2/3 / majority.
That's because he likes to pick something.
I understand that, yeah, this is an, no, you're okay, it's an ed. This is where we get to choose what we want to do. But in Robert's Rules of Order, when it talks about a 2/3 vote, it specifically tells you that it's not a 2/3 majority vote, it's a 2/3 vote, period. It has to reach and establish 66.6%. And I brought this up, I don't remember where, you might have still been the land use administrator, or maybe more, Dan Boyer was the chair. And I just asked the question, what is the 2/3 vote of a 5-member board? 3, no. That's only 60%, it's not 66%, it's 4 members to reach 2/3 vote. That's important in a motion, call the question, or which is now previous question. I believe in
Yes,
Robert's
previous question.
newest edition, it's previous, but it used to be call the question, now it's previous question. I don't like that, but whatever, they wrote the book, not me. But that is stopping debate. And because of that, somebody that does want to speak hasn't had an opportunity, requires a 2/3 vote to stop debate and move the question. It has to be a super majority to do that, because you are potentially in like the zoning industry, you might be removing somebody's right to due process. And they're gonna have an appeal angle now.
It's important in contentious situations.
They are, and so I would like that to, where it calls that out, when we eventually change that to like 2/3, but anywhere where you're on that privileged motion, that 2/3 includes 4 out of 5. Or you know, whatever that number is, so that the interpretation's gone, because that was never resolved for that previous board.
That's why
I don't know where it's. Yeah,
we do run into troops.
yes. Yeah, and again, it's why Robert's Rules were so important. This board doesn't come anywhere near using everything that's in that book, and probably never will, but it's that one time when something pops up that you're gonna need, it's in there. So you don't wanna cut that out of this policy.
I thought we already had it in our big white book, it's in there,
We do,
yeah.
we do.
So why do we have to vote on it every year?
Well, that's the VLCT model bylaw, like if you just went ahead and adopted that says that you
Yeah,
vote to
well,
renew it.
yeah, I understand what you're saying,
But what she said, we currently have a
we already have,
I
forget.
procedure meetings.
I forget what it's under that big binder.
Kind of is, cause it is in there,
Yes.
it sets out some of those discussions about how long you can speak, how long you can speak. I think it's where the comments from citizens came from. Topics not on the agenda, those things. Those are procedural rules that you put in place. I don't think anywhere we've ever called out time limits, but those can be set and
Yeah.
typically just voted on, they can be voted away. Okay.
Did you get all that? Okay,
I did.
Sorry.
that's all right, we need changes. It is what it is. Okay, move on to the next agenda item, fundraising cash management policy. You, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm your favorite fundraising entity.
Any questions on that policy?
I
This
do.
is really just for discussion at this point.
It's a semantic thing. Again, there's to ensure accountability and transparency on the bottom of page 1. The second bullet, the appointing board. Should that be the organizing board? Because earlier, you're talking about, let me catch up with myself here. You're talking about people who are on boards that have been appointed by the select board in some instances. Then, in this bullet, you're talking about the appointing board, committee, commission, or department must approve the authorized individuals by motion. And I thought that the use of the word appointing board would be more clear if you said the organizing board, because the appointing board in my mind is always gonna be the select board. We're the only board that appoints other board members. It's confusing and I'm not explaining it well. But I was asking, I'm confused by the term, the appointing board, committee, commission, or department.
So it was,
Because again, on the next page, you use the term the organizing board. And then we have the responsible board, and then we're back to the organizing board. Like, okay, wait, I'm easily confused, so.
I'll have
Did you mean
consistency
to
there.
use different terms in each case?
I did not. I was looking at. I was trying to include every one, but it was the entity that appoints the person to collect the money, whoever that is.
Use
So-
a different word.
Yeah.
Assigns, chooses, elects. I understand the word, when you say appointing, to me, that's the action of appointing a member to a committee, because that's how it's first used in this policy.
Yeah.
To use it any other place is to use the same word to mean two different people,
Yeah.
two different entities. So if there can be some consistency in that, that would be
Okay.
helpful. I have a question about sales ticket numbers. Is there a preferred source of tickets that you would expect all parties that are doing fundraising to use these tickets, so there's some kind of uniformity across it? Or is it something I print off my computer? If I'm gonna have a fundraiser, I'm gonna create tickets and put numbers on them? I was wondering if that could be more uniform or defined, or
We should define. I mean,
I understand the concept and I think it's
Yeah.
totally fine. But if you're gonna use tickets, maybe it's something that the town office supplies. So they're always the same for every fundraising event, regardless of who does them. You have some kind of uniformity, especially when you're using ticket numbers. When you're reconciling the tickets sold and the amount of money that was collected or whatever. I wanna keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. Under deposit procedures, all collected funds must be delivered to the town office no later than the next business day following the event, both authorized individuals responsible. So just delivered to the town office, in this case, it's important who you drop it off with.
Yes, it is.
So if that first sentence could say either the town treasurer or, is there someone else you want to designate to tell us who you want the money to be given to, not just,
It would be the front office, Suzanne or Julia, but I'll,
yeah, kind of, and then they need to be responsible for, you're making these people liable for the money.
yes.
That's a huge responsibility for a volunteer, and I'm very leery of that. Because of, for their sake, you're making them entirely responsible for any money they raise. And making sure that it gets back to the town office correctly, and if there's any screw up, they are held personally liable, and that worries me. So if there's gonna be, just drop it off at the town office when it's the treasurer or some finance person in your office that's responsible for reconciling this, I would wanna be sure that that goes directly to them. Because I could give it to somebody, well, they're at the front office, I'm just gonna give it to them. And unless you're getting a receipt for it, you have no way to prove that what you brought in.
Yep.
And going back to your original, where you opened up, you've got, a board, a committee or somebody or something. It's appointing 2 other people to collect the money. Now some 2 people or 1 people has to do what? Do they give it to one of those board or committee or whatever persons, and that person's responsible for it? There's, it's starting to get.
I think it's really easy. So like you have a committee, you have 5, let's say you have 5 people, you're gonna hold a fundraiser. The committee appoints 2 people to be the collectors of
Treasurer.
And then those 2 people handle the money and then give it over to the town office when they're done.
And that's the scary part for me. I would like to see a person designated to be the receiver of those funds, name them out. And I would like to be sure that the people dropping off the money get a receipt, that it's counted.
Yep.
That they are off the hook when they bring that money in. You're making them personally liable for this. And I understand the need to do that, but I also think that's a huge responsibility, and you need to protect them.
Is this a fire department kind of oriented thing?
No, it's a general fundraiser.
Veterans Memorial Committee used to do it all the time. We never had anybody.
Okay. I just was trying to get my head wrapped around.
Any fundraiser event
When we had
we get the question a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever someone wants to do a fundraiser, like what are the guidelines for doing that? And that's what these are.
Okay, so what if whatever committee or whatever it is wants to do a fundraiser, they have to appoint a treasurer. That person's responsible for that money getting to the town office. And to whom in the town office is another part.
That's what I'm saying, it needs to be identified, and they need to get a receipt for what they drop off.
They should.
It does say,
Because that puts them off the hook.
it does say about
The only other thing in that section that for me is the next business day. Does it really have to be within the next business day? Could it be 72 hours or?
I'm not reading this, you guys are, so
Well,
I've given you a starting point.
Yeah, I know, I'm not trying to beat you up, I'm just trying to rationalize.
Yes, we are.
I'm not reading the one day.
We did a huge event for somebody with cancer this summer. And the amount of work that went into that and the logistics afterwards. It might be a bit much to ask, okay, Monday morning, you gotta be here with the money. Or Monday, you might have a lot of other things that you gotta wrap up, you might need a little more time in that, and that's okay.
So like within 5 days, what are you thinking?
Well, what do you're the manager, what do you feel comfortable with? I'm just trying to point out that there might be a little more time necessary for somebody to wrap up an event.
I think we say within 1 to 5 or 3 to 5.
72 hours is good.
72 hours.
Spend it at 3 days.
On Saturday, and I'm already down to 1 day left on Monday.
Well, no, we say business days. We're
Yeah,
calling it business days.
Okay,
One to 3 business days or. Whatever you want, I just think that maybe we need a little more time here, that's all.
Yep.
Whatever you're comfortable with. I didn't have an answer for what it was, just wanted to put the idea out there.
so if you could define designated town employee,
Yep.
Rika pointed out, pardon me, Ms. Henderson pointed out that it does say sign off acknowledging receipt of the deposit is due the person bringing it, so.
It does.
Yeah.
I am very leery of making a volunteer personally liable for the money in this situation. If there's float money from the town, okay. If you give them $100 to put in their cash box and that's town money, yeah, I can see holding them responsible for that. But I'm very leery of asking volunteers to be personally responsible if somebody doesn't take the right amount of money or gives a change back improperly or something. I mean, most people can't make change these days. So I'm very nervous about that. It's not an incentive to do fundraising. And a lot of money has been saved on the taxpayer portion because so many volunteer committees have done lots and lots of fundraising in the past.
Yep.
Anyway, that's fine. Those were my feelings.
Any other comments? Mike?
I'm just looking at responsibility and accountability number 2, that seems like it might be, holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is harder than the fireworks people say. Jeez.
Yeah, this just makes you wanna run,
Yeah.
not for office.
I mean,
I know the auditors are driving a lot of this, but that's terrifying.
I personally don't think it is, but
I don't either. I think that person,
if you're collecting
money,
money on behalf of the
Yeah.
town,
It doesn't.
it needs to be accounted.
not at all,
Really?
no. Because I think each person,
Are you calling me a chicken?
yes,
It doesn't sound scary.
it doesn't, because if that person is taking on the event, and these people know what their job is and what their duties are. They shouldn't be overwhelmed by anything, because that's what they signed to do. And they're doing it as a volunteer for the town to have fun. I don't find it a problem.
And
Personally.
when other residents donate their money, we need to make sure that their donations are getting to the town correctly. That's other people's money. Even though it's fundraising, that's coming from the pockets of other people that are donating that money.
And
So
can we
make
say
sure
we've
those
had
donations-
generations of fundraising activities
Yeah.
go quite nicely here without people absconding the money.
I'd have to disagree based on experience and
And
since
that's
I've been
recent.
here,
That's reason.
which prompted the auditors to create this policy. So it goes good without a policy until it doesn't.
Isn't the auditor's thing almost automatic anyway? Right, it's funds for the town and somebody's raising it, isn't it automatically, it's gonna get audited? Right?
If you have something to audit, Mike,
Well, okay,
which is what this policy creates.
correct. Oh, no, I'm not. All I'm going back on is in number 2, failure to comply with this policy, including inaccurate documentation, improper handling of funds, or failure to deliver funds in accordance with this policy may result in disciplinary action, period. Right there, because the referral to the town auditor, that if they're handling money that's coming in equitable to the town, you're gonna be accounting for it somewhere in our books, you or our accountant or treasurer. So I think the audit is, that's gonna, it just seems threatening, I guess, from that point. And in the timely manner, if we're gonna put the timeline in, you got 3 to 5 days to do it, then they should just need to do it within the construct of the policy.
Yeah.
And this policy, in my opinion, protects the person collecting the money too.
Mhm.
And they understand exactly how to do it correctly.
Well, disciplinary action is pretty broad.
Yeah, but with, Mike, if you're running let me just give you, if you're running a fundraiser,
Yeah.
and say you made $5,000 that you know you sold in ticket sales, that person comes and brings the money in and only turns in 3.
Okay.
Are you not gonna press charges against that person saying, hey, there's $2,000 missing?
No, I'm not trying to get rid of that.
Oh,
It's disciplinary action. Of
Yeah,
course you go to press charges or go after that money.
That-
But, and that's why that committee should be appointing a person, a treasurer that's responsible for that.
Yes, and that's what this policy does, is it spells out how, so instead of having 2 people, the reason we had 2 people is so that one counts and
checks and balances.
you have a check and balance at the event. And not just one person, you have some kind of internal control,
Yeah.
because that protects that one person too,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
by having a check and balance.
Yeah.
When you get into like 501c3 status or 501 anything, whatever, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
That's all IRS stuff.
It is.
Yeah,
But these are town committees, these aren't nonprofits.
I understand that, but we can still, and that's what I think Brendan's trying to do. You can still put some of that stuff in place. It says, wait a minute, you got these 2, you gotta have a treasurer, you've got a chair. Okay, so the chair and the treasurer are responsible for this money.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm gonna defer to Ms. Keller, so Ms. O'Brien, she thinks it's fine, so
I don't see a problem with it, I
I
really
just
don't.
don't have the guts to do that.
no, I don't either. I just.
I
That's
let
the
somebody
language
else
just
do
clear.
Okay.
Sounds to Jerry then.
DeForest, you want my job?
No, I apologize.
I'm almost done.
I apologize. I'm way out of line.
Okay.
So I'll make those changes.
Yeah,
I'll tone it down a little bit. You want to put softer language in there?
no,
Okay.
I just don't think we need the auditor's threat in there because it's automatic. If it's
Yeah.
money coming into the town, it's gonna be audited.
Yeah.
And disciplinary action could be, that's, like I said, that's broad. We can call the cops, we can sue you for the funds.
Yeah.
You know, we can do lots of things.
And I would just like to see consistency in
Yes, I have that
naming
noted,
those different parties.
but I totally.
I agree with that too.
is that it? Okay. Appointments, we got appointments here tonight.
Appointments?
We do. Doctors and the dentist now. Emmett R. Gowan. Good night, would like to be on the Memorial Grove Committee.
And Willis Wood.
And Willis Wood, and they would both be 2 years.
So
Because that's what's open.
I'm sorry. Doing it again.
So I have to take a motion to approve these 2 for the Memorial Grove. One would be for. What do we have available? Does it say on here specifically?
I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to do it as 2 motions. so-
Yeah,
Okay,
but we have to appoint, there would be, one would be for
yes.
whatever the
I happen
available.
to know that,
Okay, you know what's available?
yes, I do.
Okay,
I make a motion to appoint Emmett McGowan to the Memorial Grove Committee as representative of the First Congregational Church for a 2-year term.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor, signify by, oh, hold on,
Yeah, do it.
Nathan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
DeForest,
I
Rika,
Aye.
Kelly, I. That one carries.
I make a motion to appoint Willis Wood to the Memorial Grove Committee as representative of the Weathersfield Historical Society for a 2-year term.
Second.
Nate,
Aye.
all in favor? Mike,
Aye.
DeForest,
Aye.
Rika. Aye. Motion carried. Each 2-year terms. Okay, any other business? We already fixed that, appointment one, okay. I don't have anything else, do you? Anybody else have anything else? Just the warrant then?
I gotta get there. There it is. I make a motion, come back here. I make a motion to approve the warrants dated January 26, 2026. General fund payroll total $18,209.04. Operating expense total $41,118.57. Highway fund payroll total $13,826.33. Operating total $17,814.16. Solid waste management payroll total $2,292.35. Operating expense total $1,081.77. Library payroll total $2,648.76. Operating expense is zero. The collection section, FEMA Levine Bridge design, $37,450. Mark, which is Mount Scottney Regional Planning Commission. Grant BR 1249, $179.23. Mark, Maple Street, $2,507.47. Mark, Grant CA 0839, $44.81. The total, this would be an operating expense total for this collection is $40,181.51. Grand totals payroll $36,976.48. Operating total $100,196.01.
Okay,
Any discussion?
I have a question. The FEMA Levine Bridge design, what's that?
So we got a grant to, the Levine Bridge needs to be replaced. So that's.
To make it heavier, so bigger vehicles can cross it, or because it's
Can't
damaged?
get a fire truck across it.
Yeah, I know. Is that what this is for, or is it
Yes.
damaged?
So this is for the design of a new bridge.
For
on
the
Levine
purpose
Road.
of making it bigger, or because it's damaged?
Because the purpose of increasing the weight capacity. Yep.
When did we do that?
Back in 2024, I believe.
Oh, okay, before my time.
Or
Can you explain what
23.
these other grants are?
Yes, so BR 1249 is the road inventory grant, so that was for the paving capital plan. And then grant CA 0839 is our energy efficiency grant. We received $4,000 for that.
We've used $44.81.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't have any today, believe it or not. None.
They call it the community capacity ADA grant for the CA 0839.
Okay, all those in favor of the warrant, Nate,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
DeForest,
Aye.
Rika,
Aye.
aye. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn?
Wait, we didn't do future agenda items.
Sure we did.
We did not.
No, how do we get past them?
How did I miss that?
Well, we need to add to it.
Well,
We don't wanna add any more than,
Well, I have new stuff.
oh, you got new stuff you wanna put on there?
I was looking for an update on the Bow Sand Pit situation. The renaming of Janess Road, somebody was gonna look into how to do that.
That's already a future agenda item.
Is it? Oh, no, that's John Jensen.
That's definitely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Janess
Road's over here
is
by
over
the
by the
school.
school.
Sorry.
I was wondering if we could get a salt shed update. I know we picked a design, but now it was a matter of finding money for it. I wondered where we stood with that. And then lastly, if we could revisit our 2025-2026 goals. We set those a while ago, and I was wondering if we've come anywhere close.
We're close.
Well, that blew that plan all the heck, didn't it?
And for the board,
All right.
the board sets goals in March.
Yeah, after the,
I know, we set them,
No, she
we
was-
set them last year, we set them last year, how close have we come to achieving them before we come up to the next town meeting?
the plan
Set new ones.
we had a plan when we went into this agenda, that we were gonna try to get all the future agenda items. So that when the new people came on board, they would come into a new clear slate.
Alright.
And DeForest just ruined it.
No, I don't. We'll have plenty of time in the next two meetings to.
Yeah, none of these are just updates, it's
Yep.
not any big project to do, they're just updates.
Motion to adjourn,
So move.
second,
Second.
and we're done. Feel better?
Thanks. Night.
Yeah, he doesn't look good.
No, he doesn't.
Feels better. Of course, he works with kids all day, every day.
Yeah, well, the flu is
Don't
definitely
do it.
making the rounds.
Working in an incubator. Petri dish.
It just,
Good night, everyone.
oh, germs.
Good night, Joe.